Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In Afghanistan, the United States military on Thursday dropped its most powerful non-nuclear bomb ever, the Massive Ordnance Air Blast, or MOAB, nicknamed the mother of all bombs, on the Achin district near the Pakistan border. The 21,600-pound bomb reportedly unleashed an explosion equivalent to 11 tons of TNT with a mile-wide blast radius. Bill Roggio of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies told the Military Times, quote, "What it does is basically suck out all of the oxygen and lights the air on fire." White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer acknowledged the attack.
The GBU-43 is a large, powerful, and accurately delivered weapon. We targeted a system of tunnels and caves that ISIS fighters used to move around freely, making it easier for them to target U.S. military advisors and Afghan forces in the area. The United States took all precautions necessary to prevent civilian casualties and collateral damage as a result of the operation.
Thursday's blast was so powerful it shook the ground in neighboring districts. A parliamentarian from Nangarhar province told The Guardian the explosion killed a teacher and his young son. Other Afghan officials said 36 ISIS fighters were killed. The U.S.-backed former president of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, denounced Thursday's attack, saying, quote, "This is not the war on terror, but the inhuman and most brutal misuse of our country as testing ground for new and dangerous weapons." Mark Arlasco, a Bush-era Pentagon official, told The Intercept the weapon was built for use in Iraq but never used, quote, "due to collateral damage concerns." At the White House, President Trump said he was very, very proud of those who carried out the bombing.
Did you authorize it, sir?
Everybody knows exactly what happened, and what I do is I authorize my military. We have the greatest military in the world, and they've done a job as usual. So we have given them total authorization, and that's what they're doing. And frankly, that's why they've been so successful lately.
Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California said in a statement, quote, "President Trump owes the American people an explanation about his escalation of military force in Afghanistan and his long-term strategy to defeat ISIS. We'll have more on the attack in Afghanistan by going to Kabul and also speaking with Kathy Kelly." In Syria, the Pentagon says a U.S.-led coalition airstrike in Tabqa killed 18 Syrian rebels backed by the United States. U.S. Central Command said in a statement the attack accidentally targeted fighters with the U.S.-supported SDF rebel alliance who requested air support in a fight against ISIS. CENTCOM offered condolences and called the deaths tragic. The attack followed a series of coalition raids that killed civilians. The journalistic monitoring group Air Wars cited 4 separate U.S.-led airstrikes in April alone that killed 24 non-combatants. Meanwhile, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has denied his forces used poison gas to attack a rebel-held town in Idlib, which killed 87 people, including more than 30 children. In an interview recorded Wednesday with the AFP news agency, Assad said reports of the attack were 100% fabricated.
There was no order to make any attack. We don't have any chemical weapons. We gave up our arsenal a few years ago. Even if we have them, we wouldn't use them, and we had never used our chemical arsenal in our history.
Assad suggested that children seen in widely circulated video of the incident were in fact child actors pretending to be dead. Assad's interview was broadcast as inspectors with the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons said Thursday samples taken from the site tested positive for the nerve agent sarin. Elsewhere in Syria, rebel groups and Syria's government have begun an exchange that could see the relocation of some 30,000 residents. If completed, the deal would see civilians in 2 towns besieged by rebels exchange for residents of 2 towns cut off by government forces. NBC News is reporting the Trump administration is prepared to launch a preemptive attack on North Korea if it proceeds towards a nuclear weapons test. NBC cited multiple senior U.S. intelligence officials who say a pair of U.S. naval destroyers are positioned near North Korea's nuclear test site and prepared to fire Tomahawk cruise missiles. The Pentagon declined to comment on the NBC report. North Korea Thursday condemned the U.S. for bringing an aircraft carrier group and other nuclear-armed assets into the region, threatening an assault on South Korea, Japan, Japan and U.S. bases. In Beijing, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi urged the U.S. and North Korea to de-escalate.
On the issue of the Korean Peninsula, it's not about who can say the most hateful words, about who can raise the biggest fist, who will win. Rather, once war breaks out, there will be losses on all sides. No one is the real winner.
U.S. intelligence officials claim North Korea is preparing what would be its 6th nuclear weapons test, possibly as early as Saturday, which marks the 105th anniversary of the birth of the country's founder, Kim Il-sung. The anniversary comes as Vice President Mike Pence is scheduled to travel to Seoul, South Korea, Sunday to kick off a 10-day trip to Asia. President Trump signed legislation Thursday that'll allow states to withhold federal funds to Planned Parenthood and other women's health clinics that provide abortions. The bill narrowly passed the Senate in March when Vice President Pence cast a tie-breaking vote in favor of the bill. In a statement, Planned Parenthood Vice President Don Lagun said the Trump administration had launched the worst political attack on women's health in a generation, writing, quote, "People are sick and tired of politicians making it even harder for them to access health care, and this bill is just the latest example," she said. In New York, police arrested 25 people in the lobby of Trump Tower as they staged a protest against President Trump and his administration. The protesters chanted, "No ban, no raids, no wall," citing Trump's attempts to ban Muslim travelers, ICE immigration raids, and Trump's plan to expand the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. CIA Chief Mike Pompeo blasted WikiLeaks Thursday as a, quote, "hostile intelligence service," unquote, in a stark reversal from his previous praise for the group. Pompeo made the remarks at a Washington, D.C. think tank in his first public address as director of the Central Intelligence Agency.
It's time to call out WikiLeaks for what it really is: a non-state hostile intelligence service often abetted by state actors like Russia. In reality, they champion nothing but their own celebrity. Their currency is clickbait. Their moral compass non-existent. Their mission, personal self-aggrandizement through destruction of Western values.
CIA Director Pompeo went on to call WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange a narcissist and a fraud who would have sided with dictators in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Last July, then Congress member Pompeo praised WikiLeaks for publishing emails hacked from the servers of the Democratic National Convention, writing in a tweet that has since been deleted, quote, "Need further proof that the fix was in from President Obama on down? Busted," he said. 19,252 emails from DNC leaked by WikiLeaks, ended the tweet. In Libya, at least 97 African migrants are missing and feared dead after their boat capsized Thursday in the Mediterranean near Tripoli. Libya's Coast Guard said it rescued 23 survivors. According to the International Organization for Migration, the IOM, at least 590 migrants have died attempting the dangerous ocean voyage to Italy so far this year. In Brazil, a Supreme Court judge has launched a corruption probe into 98 politicians for allegedly taking bribes from a Brazilian construction firm. Among those under investigation are 8 members of President Michel Temer's cabinet, the heads of both chambers of Congress, and dozens of senior lawmakers. This is political scientist Geraldo Tadeu of the State University of Rio de Janeiro.
This demonstrates that we are talking about a system that drains public resources, a corrupt system that needs to be and must be uncovered. These investigations have to go deep so that we can reduce the level of corruption.
Last month, a federal court sentenced Brazil's former Speaker of the lower house, Eduardo Cunha, to more than 15 years in prison for corruption. Cunha was a key leader in the push to impeach Dilma Rousseff, who was Brazil's first female president, in a process Rousseff and others have called a coup. In Arkansas, death penalty opponents are set to rally at the state capitol in Little Rock today for a Good Friday protest ahead of the planned execution of 7 prisoners over an 11-day stretch. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson has approved the plan, which would see Bruce Earl Ward and Don William Davis put to death by lethal injection Monday in back-to-back executions. 5 more prisoners are scheduled to die before the end of April, when the state's supply of the sedative midazolam, one of 3 drugs used by Arkansas to stop prisoners' heartbeat, is set to expire. This is Robert Dunham of the Death Penalty Information Center.
Arkansas has a supply of the drug midazolam. That supply expires. on April 30th. Think of it as if you were shopping in the supermarket and there's a use-by date. Well, what Arkansas has essentially done is taken the concept of the use-by date and converted it to a kill-by date.
On Thursday, a pair of pharmaceutical companies filed suit in federal court seeking to prevent their drugs from being used in the execution, saying Arkansas acquired its supplies of potassium chloride and midazolam from an unauthorized seller. The lawyer for a United Airlines passenger who was beaten and dragged from a flight by airport security guards said Thursday his client lost 2 teeth, suffered a broken nose and concussion, and might need reconstructive surgery. Dr. David Dow sustained the injuries after the airline ordered him to leave his seat on a Kentucky-bound flight last Sunday, saying it was overbooked, and then called in Chicago Department of Aviation security officers to forcibly remove the 69-year-old physician when he refused. At a news conference Thursday, Dr. Dow's daughter, Crystal Dow Pepper, said the incident has left her family scarred.
It has been a very difficult time for our entire family, especially my dad, and we are truly grateful for your support. What happened to my dad should have never happened to any human being, regardless of the circumstance.
Dr. Dow's lawyer said his client would probably sue United and the city of Chicago over the incident. And Canada has taken a major step towards legalizing the recreational use of marijuana. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Thursday unveiled a bill that would allow adults to possess up to 1 ounce of the drug while strictly licensing and regulating growers. Among those supporting the legislation is Ralph Goodale, Canada's Minister of Public Safety.
If your objective is to protect public health and safety and keep cannabis out of the hands of minors and stop the flow of illegal profits to organized crime, then the law as it stands today has been an abject failure. Police forces spend between $2 and $3 billion every year trying to deal with cannabis, yet Canadian teenagers are among the heaviest users in the Western world. And criminals pocket $7 to $8 billion in illicit proceeds. We simply have to do better.
If the bill is approved, Canada would join Uruguay as the only nations to fully legalize recreational marijuana use. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.